All right, welcome back to the NFL Scouting Combine in Indianapolis. Frank Frangie, along with my pal Bucky Brooks, who's here, the kind of the star of the Combine. You're like the star of the Combine, aren't you?
I don't know about the star.
You're all around.
Look, it's a fun event. I've always told people this. Like, the reason there's so much excitement when you get to the Combine is less about the prospects. It's more about all the guys catching up. It's the only time that football people are all in the same city, in the same building. And so as much as we talk about, like, hey, let's learn about this class, whatever, it's really kind of like part convention where everyone is catching up, sharing ideas, talking about trends, all of those things. And so to me, that's the fun part, to walk away here learning about where the game has come and where it's going.
Well, I can tell you that I walked with you yesterday, and it was, hey, Bucky, 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 hey, Bucky, hey, Bucky, Bucky. So you're like the star of the comment. Hey, what do you think? You and I haven't visited on air. What do you think of James Gladstone, Liam Coen? I had them both on yesterday. I really like, and I've just met them. I like these guys. What's your first impression?
So what I like about what has transpired over the course of the offseason is one of the things that you and I have talked about privately is that the organization would never win until you have complete alignment from top to bottom.
Right.
From Shad Khan all the way down to the people that work on the custodial staff, everyone has to believe in the vision of the Jaguars. And what has happened with Tony Baselli coming in, with James Gladstone and Liam Coen, I think we finally have a trio that sees the game the same way. Doesn't mean that they won't have disagreements, but it believes that they see the way the game needs to be played, the players that need to be on the team, they see them in the same way. And when you have that, it allows you to be able to make decisions that are always with the team in mind, because everyone does. There's no hidden agendas. Everyone knows exactly what they want. They know what kind of environment and culture they want to build. And I thought it was great that Gladstone talked about the culture is organic because it's part of the ecosystem of bringing in players who have the intangible qualities of what you want. Well, when you look up culture, it talks about a group of people who have a shared belief system.
Yeah.
So they're already in alignment there, and with Tony able kind of to what I would say bridge the gap between new school in terms of Liam and James, old school in terms of what the Jaguars have always been, even at their best when he was playing with them. I think you now have an opportunity to build a franchise and a team that has like some of the traditions that some of the great small market teams have, and that's how you overcome. So when you look at the Buffalo Bills, the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Green Bay Packers, and some of those teams, you know exactly what you're getting from those teams when you just say those names. Hopefully the Jaguars become synonymous with a style of play and a style of player that allows you to know when the Jaguars are coming to town, this is what you need to expect.
That's a great point. When you play the Steelers or the Ravens or whoever, you know what they are, no matter who the people are. Good point. All right, you're in a good position to evaluate this because you see the Jags up close and personal on our broadcast. Yet you've been a scout, you've been around the league forever. How close are they? And I know it's a broad question, but I mean, how good is the roster in your mind compared to one that wins double-digit games? What do you think?
Well, here's what I love about the NFL. You can turn this thing around really, really quickly. Just think, in the Final Four last year, we had the Washington Commanders playing in the NFC Championship game. A team that finished 4-12, 4-13 a season ago. They get a quarterback. They bring in new general manager, new head coach, flip the roster, and boom, away they go.
Yeah.
For me, I don't think the situation is as dire as the Commanders' situation, but I think the results can be very much the same. It's about getting everyone on the same page. One, you got to get all your players back healthy and playing well. Two, you got to make sure that the quarterback has the synergy with the people around him on offense to get it going. Three, on defense, you got to have an identity and make sure that you draft and acquire players that fit the identity. To me, you're not far away, but there's a lot of work to be done. And I think some of the work is with the players that are in existence, but a lot of the work is the front office making sure that the pieces of the puzzle fit together so they can play at a championship level.
All right, I'm going to ask you where you think the holes are. I'm going to tell you where I think the holes are. The interiors of both lines and stopping that damn deep ball over the top. Whether that means better safeties, whether that means another corner opposite Tyson, and I think the two defensive tackles and guard, center guard. And I love all our guys, and I'm not. And that's what I think.
Yeah, we're being honest. Well, I think a couple of things. I think you're right. The center, both the interior, both offensive and defensive lines are problematic because you want to get better there. Giving up the deep ball, the explosive plays, gave up too many of them. That is an issue. I would say when you look at the Philadelphia Eagles, because this is a copycat league, and when you look at the Eagles and what the Eagles have done traditionally year after year after year, they've always invested top picks in offensive and defensive linemen. the Jaguars need to follow suit. The only way you're going to win this game going forward is you got to be able to dominate in the trenches, particularly in the AFC where, look, it is a very, very physical game. We have to get younger and we have to get better in those areas. On defense, the top players have to play like the top guys. So, yeah, we have Tyson Campbell, and he is being paid like a number one corner. We need to find someone on the other side to complement him, not as a number 2, but as a 1B to 1A, however that looks. At safety has been one of the more disappointing positions. I was disappointed last year in Andre Sisco, Antonio Johnson, everyone who went back there with the exception of Dewey, who did a good job of kind of solidifying things as a glue guy. Yeah, we got to get better at those spots. But before we can talk about the back end, we got to solidify the front end of the defensive line and the offensive line to have a chance.
With Liam Coen, Grant Udinski, Spencer Whipple all in place, what are your expectations for Trevor Lawrence in the 25 season?
I expect Trevor to bounce back. One, I know Trevor is prideful. Two, the competitiveness. He has to get tired of losing. Look, you got to remember, before he came to the Jags, he had never lost.
I know.
Not significant. He won in high school. He won in college. His expectation is to win and to win at a high level. It has to be frustrating for him to have endured some of the things that he's had to endure as the quarterback for the Jaguars. I expect Liam and everyone around the quarterback to tap into that competitiveness. I expect them to challenge him, to push him to be great, but to also support him when he needs that support. The thing that I would say he needs to know that the people around him love him and are going to support him unconditionally, because I think that's how you get the best out of him. I'm not saying that he can't be coached hard, but I feel like there has to be this sense that everyone around him believes that number 16 is the guy to get us to a championship level. If he has that belief, then you can coach him hard, and then he'll respond to that coaching. But the most important thing that has to happen over the offseason, before we talk about the mechanics and techniques, that relationship between Liam and the people around the quarterback has to be one where the trust is there so that Trevor can be the best he can be.
Bucky Brooks with us. You hear him on our Jaguar broadcast. You see him on NFL Network. Christian Kirk. I hope Christian Kirk's on the team. I don't know where you stand on this. Everyone's talking about cap, and he's the biggest cap number. Man, Bucky, you can't get rid of good players, man. You don't have enough good players to move on from a good one. Am I way off on that? What do you think about Christian Kirk?
Anyone who has been around the team in-game, I'm privileged enough to be on the sideline. You're privileged enough to not only call the game but to be around it in practice. Everyone knows, man, that's number 16's trusted confidant when it comes to the clutch. Him and Evan Ingram are the two guys. I cannot see a situation where he is gone. We can talk about reduction. You can talk about all those other things. He is too important, too valuable to number 16 in this offense to be let go. When he's healthy and plays, you're talking about a 1,000-yard receiver who's going to put up 12 or so yards per catch. He's valuable. You have to have him. Now, we want to continue to improve the things around Brian Thomas Jr. because the salary cap is going to make it hard once Trevor starts making that big money, that you have to kind of reduce some of the salaries around him to make it work. But to me, there is always a place on the roster for Christian Kirk. We've seen other teams. I look at the Philadelphia Eagles with two high-priced wide receivers in A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith. They got a high-priced running back. They got a tight end that makes big cash. They find a way to figure it out. I think it's about pencil whipping the situation to make sure that you keep Christian Kirk around. Don't subtract good players from this team. This team is close, and you don't want to take steps back before you go forward.
With Anthony Richardson struggling like he has, and now that's the competition they're telling us. With the Titans not knowing what they're going to do, they got the first pick. We don't know. I don't know if Will Levis is the guy. The Texans dropped a little last year. Can the Jags win the division? I mean, is that too ambitious to win the division this year?
No, I don't think it's too ambitious. I think the one thing that you have to do if you're Liam Coen, if you're everybody, the first thing you have to do when we think about building a championship team, you have to win the division. When you win the division, it gives you a golden ticket to the playoffs. So every focus, everything that is done should be to build a team that can dominate the division. And as a byproduct, if you dominate the division, you're going to be pretty good in the AFC, and that'll give you a chance to get out and get into the Super Bowl. But it has to be about doing it. When I look at the rest of the division, look, they have their own issues. Tennessee doesn't have a quarterback. Indianapolis has a young quarterback that is struggling. The Texans are the cream of the crop, but they have the bullseye on their back. And when we look at the way that we have played that team, we've always been close. The games have been always very competitive. We feel like we can close the gap, and whether we split it or whatever, we feel like we can compete with them. this team has to be rougher and tougher to be able to deal with them, but I don't think we're that far off.
All right, Bucky Brooks from NFL Network and Jaguars Radio Network. So what are you doing? What do you got today? What are you hosting? Where are you the star? Where are you today? What do you got?
Like Frank, this was going to be a chill day, but I came over because I'm going to hang out with you. I'm going to do a little huddle up later on, talk more Jags, and then I'm just going to kind of walk around, see the sights, see if I can reconnect with some folks. But it's kind of a light day. The madness starts tomorrow when they start the workout, so that part will be fun.
All right, I think tonight we're having a steak. My wife says Bucky will keep an eye on you, not let you
That's
eat
right.
too much steak. You're like the sergeant of arms of the Frangie family. Thanks for coming by, buddy. We appreciate it.
It's always fun.
Back in a moment from the NFL Combine in Indianapolis.
Hey, Mia here, and thanks so much for watching 1010XL Jaguars. For even more coverage of the Big Cats, be sure to subscribe to 1010XL Jaguars.